everyone and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Artist Masterpiece Plus Rascal Does Not Dream of a Bunny Girl Senpai Mai Sakurajima figure. Now the Artist Masterpiece line is a set of prize figures that Taito have been producing for several years now, but the Artist Masterpiece Plus line is pretty much that figure line just improved a bit. And it was already a slightly higher end sort of line for prize figures, and this is just that edge above it, because that line did have some errors every now and again, and they were better figures, but at the end of the day they were prize figures. And while this is still a prize figure, from just this one alone, that I think the quality is noticeable enough that we are in a significant upgrade in terms of prize figures to this, and then scales beyond. So first up, if you haven't seen Rascal Does Not Dream of a Bunny Girl Senpai, not only is it a mouthful, it is a fantastic series, and I'm glad that after several years the series is still getting merchandise because it is just so good. Very unique, very interesting. If you haven't watched it and don't know anything about it, it's not what you think it is, and I think it's worth just checking out blind, and even if you do know a little bit, I think it's just worth watching anyway. But today we're going to be looking at Mai Sakurajima, who is the main heroine of the franchise, in her classic bunny girl outfit, which surprisingly enough doesn't feature that heavily in the show, but it is iconic nonetheless. Now, as you may or may not have seen in previous videos on this channel, whenever I've looked at a Taito prize figure, typically their quality is pretty damn good. Even for standard line figures like the Corful line, Taito tend to deliver quite well, trying to emulate the anime that it's based on, or the character that it's based on, to the best of their abilities. And taking a quick look at the box, it does give a bit of an air that it is slightly more premium than a regular prize figure. So we've got a nice splash art on the front, there's the long logo of the franchise, there's some small details down the bottom explaining the character, and it's the AMP line, and then there's the big AMP logo in the top right hand corner, as well as a nice picture of Mai. On the side there's another picture of Mai, on the back there's another picture of Mai, and on the other side there's another picture of Mai. Nothing really crazy going on the box at all, there's more branding on the top, it's just very simple, it is a crane game prize after all, that's just how things go. But the real interesting thing is when you crack it open and have a better look at the figure. Now, taken out of the box and put on a rotating display, this is not only a fairly good size figure, but it's pretty much damn near perfect. Now, I haven't gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, but I couldn't see any paint errors on this when I was going through it. Maybe that's luck of the draw and I've finally found like the perfect prize figure for me, but I just couldn't see any errors. This was incredibly clean, very well done, the pose is fantastic, the colour is on point, the paint was all clean, and I was immensely happy for this. So in terms of the sculpt of the figure, it's a nice sort of departure from some of the other Bunny Girl Senpai figures where it's always sort of a standing pose or a slightly action pose. This is just her sort of knelt down on the ground, and it looks nice. There is no base with this figure, so it sort of stands free, very similar to Noodle Stopper figures, and it works very similarly. There are multiple finishes on the figure, such as a matte finish on the skin, as well as a gloss finish on parts of the bunny suit, which is very nice, and it is always appreciated when prize figures do things like that. The finish feels very consistent, whereas some of the other prize figures I've looked at, even Corfuls in the past, have a bit of inconsistencies in the finish, but this is fine. Much like the Corful line, Mai's hair goes from a solid colour to a translucent colour towards the end, which is pretty cool, and I like the fine details in her hair and her little hair clip. The eyes are nicely printed on, and the bunny ears on top look good as well. But one of the coolest things about this, and it's something that's been happening a little more frequently with prize figures, mainly because of the Buy Cute Bunnies line, is that now we're getting prize figure bunnies with actual fishnet stockings, which is nice, cool, and not needed, but it really, really goes a long way. And it really brings together this entire design of Mai, because I've seen a lot of the prize figures of her in the bunny suit, and even scale figures of her in the bunny suit, and there's just something off about it, and I think it's because of the painted stockings. Sometimes painted stockings can look really good, but for some reason it just doesn't do it for me for my figures. And the addition of actual fishnets on this figure just elevate it so much, and the application of them is very clean, because some of the Buy Cute bunnies, sometimes it's just sort of like chucked on there. And there's a lot of material left over on the back of the figure, and it might look a bit funny, but you sort of accept it because it's a prize figure. This is just so clean. It's so good. It's ridiculous. There's literally nothing wrong with this figure, and I'm so happy about that. I hope that that's the case across the board. Even with minor paint errors, if they're on the back, it doesn't really matter. I know everyone has their own sort of opinion on paint errors on prize figures, but I pretty much accept it as long as it doesn't interfere with the main viewing angle of the figure or anywhere on the face. But from what I could tell, this figure's perfect for me, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I will do a quick size comparison now. So here she is next to a high-grade Gundam, and high-grade Gundams are around the same size as Figmas and SH Figuarts, so around 1/12 scale, even though Gundams are in a whole nother scale themselves. But that's how they'd roughly fit with a standard action figure line. Here she is next to a WCF figure, which is pretty standard for most trading figures. So once again, there's just nothing but praise that I have for this figure, partly due to how much I love the series itself and how true to the character this is. The face sculpting is fantastic, the pose is great, all of the small details on the hair and the outfit are fantastic. It's a simple outfit, but very easy to screw up, and that's something that they didn't do here. They did a very, very good job. Even just taking it as a silhouette of a figure definitely reads as a bunny girl, and pretty much reads as Mai, generally. She has a very simple and basic design, and she is sort of like filler for like generic bunny girl, but there's something about her that's so striking, and I think that's what really makes the series so special and what makes figures of her special when they nail it. And I didn't feel like buying the expensive Aniplex statue of her in a bunny suit, because I think that's probably the next best thing, so I was glad that this came along. But yeah, there's not much really to say about this beyond it just being very, very, very good, and I highly, highly recommend it if you don't have a Mai and you want a Mai, if you like Rascal Does Not Dream of a Bunny Girl Senpai and want more stuff from it, if you don't have anything from it and want something from it and only one thing from it, I would highly, highly recommend this figure. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.